Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trend in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Judith Mancini Today is sponsored by Basic Brands, Inc., providing the highest quality specialty products in the natural food industry. Visit basicbrandsinc.com and enter JMT15 for your 15% discount on your very first order, including their best-selling vitamin E ointment, which helps restore moisture and elasticity to your skin. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. We have an absolutely fabulous show, particularly for you people who have been longing to write America's best book or novel. And I want to introduce you first to what he has done. As a publishing visionary, Izzard, I-Z-Z-A-R-D, Inc. founder Tim McConnehey and his team are one of the industry's most respected self-publishing company. Izzard Ink Publishing has now grown from that initial idea to a business that has sold over 1,200,000 books, all accomplished by delivering exceptional personalized client service and working with the best people in publishing. Tim and his team at Izzard Ink. have been featured on such places as Fox News, C-SPAN's Book, TV, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other publications throughout the country. He's also he and Izzard Ink., the 14th fastest growing private company in the Rocky Mountain region, Inc. magazine. And Tim, welcome to Judith Mancini.
Hey, how are you?
It's
a pleasure.
Thank you for honoring us by coming on. I wasn't sure you would have the time to come on to my podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you here.
Anything for you. Anything. You're just wonderful. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited. We only have 45 minutes with you, and that definitely is not enough time for me to ask you everything about self-publishing that I want to know.
Sure.
But I want to start with where you live, your family, kind of your educational background, if you want to share that, and how you came up with the idea of self-publishing. And I'm just going to let you talk till I want to.
Yeah, just interrupt when it gets boring, you know?
It won't be boring. I want to get a lot in.
Yeah, so I'm actually in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is not really a publishing mecca, you know? It's a great city for entrepreneurs. It's a great state and spot to start a business, but publishing's really not something that really happens here. So that kind of helped us build an organizational model where we can be really a digital publishing company and go get talent from all over the world, really. And that's what we've done. It's kind of started out with an idea, read an article in the Wall Street Journal about ebooks and how those were coming online probably about 11 years ago or something like that. I found an author who, passed away. So their family was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, take the rights, see what happens. We started selling a few hundred of them, a day or a week. Yeah.
You took the rights to the book? They gave you...
I didn't take the rights. I mean, I got the rights. I helped them get the rights to the books. They signed a contract with us that, I'm like, hey, I think this is going somewhere. So thanks.
I didn't mean you stole the rights. I meant, how did you get the rights to the book?
Yeah, we just talked to them and we just said, this is where I think it's going. Do you guys mind just doing a test? That's kind of what we were all about. And I was like, hey, if this could be a side hustle and just provide passive income for a little while, that would be fine. This is
a huge side hustle for you.
Huge side hustle, big side hustle now. With all entrepreneurship journeys, it's all a roller coaster, right? It either is up or it's down, but almost never plateaus. And so during that same time frame, yeah.
Can you share whose book that was, the very first one, or you prefer not?
Yeah. No, I'm fine with it. We still have it today. It's a political book. So, I try and stay neutral, but it's called The Naked Communist, Exposing Communism and
Oh,
Restoring Freedom. And when we were going through looking at that book, we found quotes from Ronald Reagan and personal letters, to the
wow.
author. And I was like, why wasn't that stuff being used? Why wasn't that used? So we started kind of formulating the process there, saying, hey, this is still a relevant book, but what happened through the process is it looked like it was done in the 1960s, mid 1960s, because it was the cover, it didn't spark emotion. It said, hey, this is a Marvel comic book, not this is a nonfiction book about the history of communism. So it was all those
Fabulous
little,
first book. Yeah.
yeah, it is, and it's sold a lot. That's one's been on Fox TV. Presidential candidates have kind of got behind that book, and that was all after we revamped it and kind of brought it current. So I'm real happy about the work that was done, and that really paved the way for what we were able to do with Izzard Ink from then on out. So that book started doing well, and that was the one that was selling, sometimes 100 a day, even more.
And
And
where do you put these books to be sold? Do you actually do the marketing also?
yeah, we try and do the marketing in house, but we've been very fortunate that with some of these books, such as that one, they really had a strong base. And so it's just evergreen material. It just continues to sell and continues to do well.
Was it Orrin Hatch? Oh, it couldn't have been because that was before he passed this past year.
Orrin Hatch knew about this book. We actually presented this book to him when it was revamped, back when he was, still in office. So he actually, him and Cleon Skousen were really good friends, really good friends. So yeah, do you know Orrin?
Absolutely, I did when I had my own publishing company for magazines, and yes, I was in the natural health business. That's why I have this great sponsor, and I did a lot of business in Salt Lake and the surrounding areas, so I'm quite familiar with the area. And
Yeah, Orrin
was a
Orrin
great
was
man.
really good. He
Yeah.
he was really good. He was so kind and nice, and I appreciated him and his wife's help through all this. He really is wonderful. So small world, I guess, huh?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So that one started to do well. At the same time, I was just in a job, in a fintech company, and things were just kind of crashing around '08. I don't know what happened, but
Boy,
there
did
was
it
like,
ever.
yeah,
Yes.
it did. And I'm like, I'm going to find another job. We'll just kind of keep this as a side hustle. But, 2,500 job applications later, plus, I couldn't get one. I just couldn't get a job. And I don't know. It seemed like we were right there. We were able to do it, and then all of a sudden it was just silent. So I kind of took that as a cue of maybe that's not where I was supposed to be. And it was incredibly humbling too, which kind of helped form the values for Izzard Ink today as well. That plays a big part in it. And I also made a promise with my wife that one of us would stay home with our kids. She started doing really well with nursing informatics, and
Wait,
really excelled at
you
the
have
job.
4 children?
Yeah, yeah. The 8 years old, 6 years old, and then we got the buy one get one at 4 years old right now. So,
And your wife is a nurse?
yeah, she's a clinical informaticist, nursing informaticist. So she does nursing with numbers and kind of runs things on a system level. So,
My
that
daughter's a nurse.
oh wow, what does she specialize in?
Well, she's done a whole lot of different things. Right now, she's getting her master's in nursing education.
Good,
And she's
excellent.
working with assisted living in the Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in
Oh,
in Santa
wonderful.
Barbara, California. Enough
Wonderful.
about me, but we have
No,
so many
that's good. Yeah.
coincidences. This is amazing to me.
Yeah. No, it is. So things just really kind of formed from there. I didn't realize it at the time, but kind of being a stay-at-home dad and doing this business, it really forced us to build strong processes and strong people and outsourcing. And then it was really good because, a lot of authors work, weekends and nights because they have day jobs. And so that's kind of where we were able to really get in there and put together a solid foundation.
I love it. I love it. So, what was your second book? Do you remember?
We went through all of a good chunk of that library of W. Cleon Skousen, and then I started working with his son Paul Skousen. We've done a lot of his books as well. And then once I started, going through and helping Paul, we've seen, again, some political books like How to Read the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Once we started seeing where those nonfiction books went, we were able to get an audience for them. We've put out some, something that's a smaller Constitution book that's, most of it's public domain, but we were able to get a New York Times bestseller to write the foreword. And then all of a sudden that one just kind of took off and we found the niche, we found the key words.
Is that for Hillsdale College?
No, Hillsdale's not part of it. I wish it was, but this is just really on Amazon, and this is using great content that looks good, that's designed well within their system, and we were able to sell, tens of thousands of books, that way. So we've kind of been able to crack the code a little bit, and in some subjects, but it's still really hard. Every book, it seems like, has its own path and its own way. So everything's constant change. You're looking back at it. You're like, where does this go? Does this work? Does that not work? All that stuff.
Well, you have a lot of different subjects that you publish on. I noticed you do children's books, you do Christian books, you do coffee table books. What are some of the other ones that you do? Right. If you don't know what a coffee table book is, they're photography books with beautiful pictures or on some subject or other.
Yeah. So when we were first starting out, we looked at it, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, don't do more than just the genres, don't do more than just nonfiction, And I look back at it and we put together the structure for authors. So it really didn't matter what genre you were in because we have a plan, pick, publish, personalized method. So we sit down with each author, we plan their methods, and we learn that the structure for all the books is pretty much the same. But what changes is, for the most part, are the team members. So if you're doing a book, so we did a book it's called Mermaid Tears, and she's a librarian out of Boston. And so for her book, we got one of the editors for the Hunger Games, to kind of help out and do stuff like that. And so we knew that it was a middle grade book, and that's where the editor had experience. So we have the structure to put in place to kind of pull through with every subject for the most part. And everything's so specialized. All those people know that genre, and we're able just to kind of take in all the information that the experts give us to hopefully do a really good job. We've had authors come in that have been first-time authors and leave with Publishers Weekly starred reviews. It's been really great to kind of watch how they've evolved and how they become better at writing.
Very exciting. Very exciting. How does an author find you?
Our website's Izzard Ink, IZZARDINK.com. And that's probably the biggest place to find us. We've got a lot of free resources. We talk about the top publishing mistakes. We really want authors to really be behind their projects. We see that there's so many I would call it get rich scams for publishing, write a book in 90 days, and it just is not possible.
No,
You
it's
cannot
not.
put quality out. You just can't.
I
So
remember when ebooks first came out, I was in the natural skincare business at that time with a company that I owned, but always scrolling on the internet and seeing what's going. And there was somebody saying, I can help you publish an ebook. You're going to get rich quick. And you can do it in an hour. I mean, give me a break. These people are nuts. Well, they're scam artists is what they are. So,
yeah,
do you
yeah.
rely on SEO? Do people punch in self-publishing companies and you're up there at the top? Because I didn't check that. I have so much background information on you. Anyway, I wasn't searching for you. I knew where to find you.
Yeah, a lot of things come word of mouth. Somebody who's worked with us before, or a friend of an author, or a colleague of an author. That's where we get a lot of our business. We have a couple affiliate programs out there too, but we're really for serious authors. One of the biggest mistakes authors make is they come to a publishing company or something like that, and they just want to get it published. Just get it out there. I just don't care. Just throw it out. And that's what ends up happening is people just throw it up and it gets thrown out. So we created what's called just a manuscript assessment process. From the data and everything else that we've learned over the years, we were able to have what we do is we have two independent editors review up to 7,000 words of a manuscript, and sometimes more. It depends on if they're interested or not. We give them detailed feedback on exactly what worked, what didn't work, and where they need to go. What type of edit do they need? How are they going to build their team? A lot of people are a little bit confused with what's a developmental edit, what's a copy, edit, and what's a proofread. What are all those different areas? And so a developmental edit focuses on the structure and how do things globally look. And then you get into, the line and making sure that each line looks good and what words and, how can you rearrange it to flow better? And then you kind of jump into, your grammar. And most people just think an edit is just making sure your commas are there. And
No,
and it's
not
not.
quite.
No. So they're missing a lot. And so by us being able to do the assessment, we meet with the author for 30 minutes, they get to have feedback, and then we have our final deliverable, which is an action plan, whether they move forward with us or not. They have a concrete plan of, this is the editor I need, these are the things that we need to work on, and this is the direction that we're going to go. And here's the competition. This is where it's going to fit in the marketplace. We always ask why you, why now kind of questions. And we have found that that's weeded out serious authors from ones who just want to just do it quickly.
So in that manuscript assessment conversation, the first one on your site, do you have them run ideas past you of what they want to write about, or do you have a consultation that they can sign up just to run the ideas in the story plot or the education plot or the photo plot? Do you have something like that too?
Yeah, we do. We do book consultations with authors, usually just to kind of see where they're at, in the process. We usually like to see kind of a finished manuscript. We also have artificial intelligence that we've created in-house that reviews manuscripts in different areas. So that can kind of help us figure out too, where's the pacing, sentiment, are we happy, sad, negative? Is this overall too happy? Things like that. And then we're working to start comparing it to other books in those specific genres. So we can kind of say, hey, this is where you're at. This is where your book stands out. So much like doctors use AI to be better doctors and catch things better, that's what we're trying to create too for authors. And so far that's gone pretty well. That's been a really fun kind of side project that we've undertaken.
That is just fascinating to me. I love it. I love every part of it. And I've never gone to a self-publishing company because I'm not writing a book yet, but I have intended to write one for quite a while, and just haven't gotten into it. But I would be coming to you. I will tell you that. I
Oh,
mean,
we'd
this
be
is the
happy to
most
help.
comprehensive self-publishing company that I've ever seen out there.
It's really been fun, and as we've tackled different problems, I've been more focused on making sure that the operations are there, that things are automated, but yet still offering personalized attention. And if I can, just for your entrepreneurs out there, I don't know if you're familiar with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, but
Yes,
that's
actually, I am. I don't know about everybody else, but I hope they are.
that is a program that's just near and dear to me. I kind of walked in. This was one of the roller coaster rides. I had a good family friend who, was a CFO for $1 billion company, and he's like, "Yeah, Tim, let me see if I can help. Let's talk about it." We had several meetings, and for some reason, I just couldn't figure out the mission statement. I'm like, "Would it be this? Is it that? Is it this?" And I just couldn't figure it out. So he finally said, "Look, I'm not going to help you anymore. This is a waste of my time." And I ended up going back to the school that I graduated from, and the person who I talked to was part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. She's like, "Come here." So I applied for it. I was lucky enough to get in. And just for people who are curious about it, there's no cost. They don't take anything. Goldman Sachs sponsors the whole thing. It's like a mini MBA that's for your business, and you meet other entrepreneurs, and that was the basis and the foundation for our incredible growth, that we've had to according to Inc. magazine, the second fastest growing media company in the country.
Yeah,
But
that's
it all
amazing.
started with that foundation.
Yeah, so I think that is a really wonderful thing to tell people about, and it certainly gave you clarity. And just look at what has happened. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really, from marketing to putting interactive processes together, so you always have feedback that makes it so every business is living and changing and not stagnant. So really, really happy with that program. So I would say go out and apply. I'm sure there's one close to their area because they have them all over the country, and
Oh,
then even
I didn't
nationally.
realize they had them in person, so that's interesting to me.
Yeah, some markets they're in person. Others, I think it could be virtual. But yeah, there's my plug for them. They're awesome.
But I think that's a really nice thing to tell people about. You seem to be a very generous, kind-hearted person, really meaning to help people. And I think that's very unusual and very wonderful in this day. You're so willing to share such information with people. But you put together such a website. I don't have it in front of me, and I didn't take notes on it. I know the one thing is the manuscript review and all that we just talked about. What's the next step if an author decides to go with you after that
Yeah.
call? Or do they need to sign up for the entire program with
So
the manuscript?
this is where we're also a little bit different too, because we're trying to find the right path for each author. And we know that we're probably not the publisher for most people, but for the serious authors who really want to put time and effort into it, this is a really great program for them. We like to test the waters too. So the manuscript assessment process gives us a chance to work with an author. It also gives the author a chance to work with us before committing thousands of dollars to a process, right? You want to make sure that that's going to work, and it's going to be exactly where they want to go. And I'm also happy to say that we've had authors come through that manuscript assessment process and get traditional publishing deals. That makes me happy too, because that means that our assessments and our people have given feedback that have gotten people traditional deals and advances, and things like that. So we're kind of looking at that assessment as a trial period to say, yeah, you know, this is where it needs to go. You know, maybe I do want to self-publish, or no, maybe I do want to go the traditional publishing route. But after that assessment's done, then we put together a team. We put together a proposal for different editors, so we can find those editors, just like we did for the Hunger Games, or ones who have worked for major publishing houses on major projects. We do cookbooks, and we find James Beard Award winners, you know, in the past who have edited those cookbooks, and then we bring them to our team to help do that. And so we found by authors working with the best, their works are so much more elevated. So we'll put together the editing process. We want to make sure that editing works. Authors are very comfortable with it when they're done, because content's king. Sometimes that takes 6 months, sometimes that takes 2 years. It all varies. So then after, you know, editing's done, then we jump into the publishing package where it has the proofread. We do, you know, work with great cover designers. You know, one of my favorites worked with, you know, people like Danica Patrick, Coco Chanel, you know, just really big time books for big time companies. And they help our authors get great reviews and awards. And that's what I love. So after that, there is an option for authors, if they want to, they can work with a PR firm or a publicist, you know, depending on the direction that they want to go to help get their book out there. And that's how we're able to get so many wonderful placements for authors too. So it's quite a process, but we want to make sure that everyone's there. They're really, you know, there for the right reasons. You know, they're there to become better writers. They're there to share a message. They're there to help the world and create a better story. You know, that's why we're here.
A noble reason. You know, I don't know why somebody who hasn't been published and hasn't had success necessarily selling 1 million copies, I don't know why they would go to a large publishing company like Hachette or Simon and Schuster, whatever the new names of all these publishing houses are now. I can't keep up with them because they're all being acquired by different people and changing names. But I don't know why they would do that rather than coming to you, because so many people have the wrong idea in their head that you can sit down, write a book, and maybe it's going to take 6 months to a year out of your life, the author's own life, putting everything down, doing an outline, writing it down. And they think that is a finished product, and they don't realize that it's just the beginning. So I think to go to a large publishing house, it very well could take, even if they would accept you, maybe from your background, like the guy who founded Netflix, which was poorly written, I hate to say, but it gave you the idea of what it was. I don't know. I hope you didn't publish them. Did you?
No, no.
Oh, thank God.
No.
But he would have benefited so much more from coming to somebody like you, where you find the right editors and the right cover design and help him with the grammar and the flow and all of that, because these large publishing houses are looking for, well, in fiction, David Baltucci or Daci, whatever his name is, or the next political pundit coming out, like the different people on Fox or CNN that want them. They're not going to get first in line, so to speak, and have direct help with real people. So I can see every reason in the world to come to your company. Tell me how you got that.
No. So, well, first, I wanted to interject here a little bit too.
Sure.
This is from the author standpoint. I touched on it just a little bit. It takes a lot of work for when you've put your heart and soul into writing to then send it to somebody to give you tough love and tell you that it needs improvement. A lot of authors just can't handle that. We usually have to give authors a couple of days And we warn them up front that this is tough love. We warn them that it's better to know now so we can fix those problems. But I mean, we were just working with a lawyer in Napa, and he was furious with us. He was furious after he got his manuscript assessment because everyone kept telling him that his book was really good, really great.
Well, they were afraid to not tell him because they were afraid of getting sued.
That could be it too, you know. He's actually a really wonderful gentleman. But what ended up happening is he sat back after 2 days and he's like, I was really mad, but this is exactly what I needed to hear. And it takes humility to be able to handle that. And if you don't have it, then your book's not gonna, it's not gonna work. I think humility is one of the most underrated attributes that authors need to have. So anyway, that's kind of there. So Izzard Ink, this one is back in the UK, I think it was around the 1700s or something. There was it was Z, Z, and Izzard that were all used, you know, for the letter of the alphabet. So Izzard actually means Z, and then ink kind of goes with publishing. And then if you look at Z-I-N-K, so zinc, that's kind of a throwback to the old publishing days and the zinc printing plates. So there's quite a bit that goes into it. And then, you know, we just use a little lizard for fun as our logo, just because, you know, it's fun, playful.
You got me on that one, and I'm pretty good at those things. And it never dawned on me all of these different things that Izzard means, because I thought it was Izzy the lizard.
Yeah, I know almost. I don't know of anyone who knows that's really what it means, because it's really just kind of a throwback to.
Oh, but I love it.
Uncommon
now
terms.
That you've told me what it means, that it actually does have a meaning to it. I mean, my head, so much is going on for me right now. It just didn't dawn on me to see the secret code.
Yeah, it kind of evolved that way too, and it's been fun.
So now what about once you go through your process of getting the book looking beautiful, do you get into the printing side of it and the binding side of it?
Yeah. So a lot of publishers are really struggling right now. And I view it's because inventory takes up a lot of space. So what we do is we pretty much for all of our books that are first time authors that don't have a large pre-order, we actually set them up with print on demand. So that means if one book's printed or ordered, one book's printed. That means we're not in the inventory game, which means that frees up cash flow. That means that instead of authors kind of coming to us and saying, you know, I need to have $10,000 just to print my books. No, we can put that money into production, and we can put that into PR. What's good about print on demand is that it can keep up real quick. You know, when our books have hit Fox News TV, when our books have hit the major outlets, you know, you might have 10,000 sell in 2 weeks. Well, how are you going to keep up with that demand if you're printing elsewhere? It's really difficult. So print on demand keeps our inventory low. It helps authors out because, you know, just inventory kills. Inventory is the biggest factor that just hurts many companies.
Business.
Not just yeah. So us being mainly digital, and then if we do print, which we've done a great job printing. We have a printing arm. Well, we'll print, you know, copies of books with 5,000 or more and then send them to distributors. We've been bringing business back from China because with automation and new printers and what we have here, we've been very cost effective and even cheaper than printing in China through many of our contacts.
Well, sure, then you have transportation fees, you know, if you're printing overseas. Plus, China's not exactly at the top of our list these days.
No. But even, you know, anywhere overseas, like even South Korea or other places. We're finding that it's cheaper, it's greener, to bring that back here. And so we have a really good offset press operation that we just put. So if you have color books or anything like that, those are ones that we just print here now in the United States. And they're museum quality. They look good. We've even put one on, in Beverly Hills on Rodeo Drive, just right there. So
you mean you've put a book there, or you've put?
Yeah, we've worked with a client that I guess it's maybe one street over from there, but we've put a coffee table book in Gary's.
Yeah, they only sell books basically.
Yeah, so
but it's not a traditional bookstore. It's a
no, it's not. But we're able to rival all the quality and come in at a great price. You're seeing business shift more to automation. And we've seen that in our industry too. So
it's amazing to me. I mean, you have good. What was the date? Let's tell everybody the date you launched this business.
I think it was formally May of 2013. So it really does take 7 to 10 years to launch a business. I did it through a different.
This is a huge business now. So I mean, I don't find that unusual. It would take 7 to 10 years to get where you are. That's very fast. And that's why Ink gave you an award.
And I'm looking forward to, to later down the road too, and kind of seeing where it happens, but right now we're seeing increased prices. We're seeing, that inflation has brought paper up 40% since the first of the year.
Wow. That's scary.
It is scary. And so that's why this digital model of, if I can do print on demand or sell ebooks, is even more important now of the overall publishing plan for authors. Don't get laden, don't get bogged down with inventory.
Right. No, you don't want to do that. That's astounding to me. Paper's gone up 40%. That was in the magazine business. That was always paper and mailing, because we were a subscription type business delivered to your door. And those two things were always our highest cost.
Yeah. And they've really pushed a lot of people to their limits. So have a digital strategy. Don't go into publishing without a digital strategy.
Or almost any business these days, you need to have a digital strategy.
Yeah, and we've actually done pretty well direct to consumer with things like cookbooks, where we've been able to create one cookbook. It's done really well, and then we can go to direct to consumer and we can sell 100,000 copies. Because we know the content's there, we know it's good, and we've been working with a company to kind of build the lists and do that. So it works. It's tough, but that's where publishing's going.
Do you have a full-time staff?
We're very small, but we do have operations in India. We have operations in Romania. And then we have just a small staff here in the U.S. It's very flat, but if you look at the back end and our project management system that's almost fully automated, I'm impressed with it, because we've made it so, you've heard how hard it is to hire. You've heard how hard it is for anyone to go get employees.
Yes. And then they're not always honest on their resumes. And even if you interview them, they sometimes tell you that they can do more than they actually are able to.
Yeah. And so we've kind of understand that, and we've learned that. So everything in the background is really automated. We started looking at the gig economy, that was big about 5 or 6 years ago. And so that's where we go out and we get the specific people. We don't always have a staff editor, because that staff editor might not fit the genre of the book. And so we're heavily reliant on freelancers and gig people. So we'll probably have any time, working with 30 or 40, different editors, cover designers, interior folks. But it's nice to still stay small because we give each author the personalized attention, and then all the stuff they don't see is pretty well automated in the background.
So if somebody wants to come and work for you to become an editor of a certain genre, do you pay them hourly or by the project? Or that would be very confusing to me with all the different parts going on, how you would have to pay people. I'm not asking for what you pay them, but how do you calculate it?
So usually it's done by word count or page count. In the editing realm.
Okay.
Yeah, in the editing realm, it's 250 pages. Every once in a while, we'll get an editor who wants an hourly rate, but for the most part, they know how long it will take for them to do it. They've seen the samples. The editors see our manuscript assessments, so they can go through and they can say, okay, this is what we need to work on. This is our focus. This is going to be a little bit more, so then I can adjust it. But for the most part, it's almost always based on project. So if they work faster, it's easier. If they don't, then it's still
great plan. I like that. Now, what about the author? And you've launched, let's say, a successful book. Do you take a percentage of the money coming in from the book, or you just have this flat rate for the different parts of the publishing? Anything that you do? Ask for copyright?
The authors own all the copyrights. They own everything. That's how it is. They pay for it. It wouldn't be fair for us to come in and claim any part of that. Authors can run things by themselves, and they can just go through our process, and then they can go to a distributor and list it. But we also have an option where we have full hands-on distribution. Well, we'll put it in our network, we'll put it to our folks, and we'll, be able to look at exploiting different avenues as they open up. And for that, we take $1 per print book and 10% of MSRP for an ebook. So it's really
so reasonable. You're very reasonable. This is a wonderful, marvelous program you're running here.
Yeah, and it's great for us. In the last year, we've built a fully automated royalty software platform. It's one of the best, if not the best out there. We know our competitor, our top competitor, because we were with them. We were trying to run a beta program for them, and they were just moving to cloud-based. And now we use low-level AI to make sure that everything's done. And everything's it flows in perfect, and we're able to write checks and just push a button, and there it is. So royalties in one button, can't get any easier than that. But then that saves time. That makes it cheaper for the authors.
It's just amazing to me how techie all of this business has turned into, because when I first bought this little tiny magazine that only had 20,000 circulation, and I built it to 1.7 million. They didn't even have a fax machine. Now, this was many years ago, but not that many. So I can't keep up with all the technology. And I think if there are authors out there listening to this, some of the women's networking groups that I belong to and all, don't even think about doing all of this yourself. Give these people a look on the internet, because I'm telling you, this is a phenomenal company. And it's just not me saying that. All these other people, Fox News, the people over at Ink magazine, to win that award is really an unbelievable thing. And I congratulate you on that. We need to start wrapping this up, but I have thousands of more questions.
Hey, you can always chat again. I'm all for it.
I would love to do that. I would love to have you come back and keep us updated on what's going on and all. And thank you so much for coming and visiting with us today, Tim. It's just a fabulous company, and thanks for explaining the name to me.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. You're wonderful in what you've done. with publishing the magazine and everything that you've kind of done to set the industry for people like me is just, we're very thankful for it. So thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your life back there in Utah, and tell your wife I said hello and thank you for
I will.
letting you come on.
Yes.
Your home time. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will talk soon. Well, everybody, that was just a phenomenal interview. I hope you tuned into the entire thing. If you didn't, you can see it again on Facebook Live. You can see it on RK4HD, Talk4TV. .com, all of those different places. But I want to tell you a little bit about our guest next week. It's something that particularly women are going to be interested in. Did you know there's like 1 million divorces a year? I think maybe even higher. I can't remember the exact amount in the United States alone. And it's devastating. Unfortunately, it's usually devastating to the woman because that's just the way it's been, and it's going to be like that forever unless you get help. And we have Neil Palachi coming on next week, and he has been the founder of several different organizations, and his website and all of that will help divorced and widowed women take control of their finances, build some wealth back. And one of the groups he's founded has all sorts of people that specialize in finances and attorneys that specialize in divorce. He's got it all for this. And particularly, it's devastating emotionally for women, but it can be very devastating for women, whether you're becoming divorced or you very sadly and unfortunately became a widow. So be sure to tune in next week. And I want to leave you with these words today. Cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. Thank you for listening.